Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. This is DJ and I'll be your host for this week. The title of this episode is BazBall Breaches JamWall because that's what we seem to be talking about. We got a great tweet in from one of our listeners, so I'm not taking credit for that title, but oh my god, it has been a week. It's been pretty sad if you're an Indian cricket fan. If you're an English cricket fan, you're going to have even more belief in this team's crazy abilities to not be able to bat in the first innings, but to come back and win in the second innings, chasing nearly 400 runs, breaking records left, right, and centre. Stuart Broad's going for 35 runs in an over and becoming a world record holder all over again has been completely forgotten. So is Rishabh Pant's 146, which is completely crazy. I don't know where to start, man, but maybe I'll start with saying hi to Varun. How are you, dude? I hear you've only been watching tennis today.
Yeah, I'm watching the Djokovic match as we speak. I think it's fair to say that I was watching sport in the UK, and I think I should leave it at that because Wimbledon seems to be a better bet. But as we were thinking about the podcast, I was thinking, I mean, we're going to get into how bad it was, okay? But let me put one small positive spin on it before we get into all the ranting. We drew the series 2-2, right? Last time we spoke about a one-off test. It's not a one-off test. It's a five-match series, which we drew 2-2 in England. So if there's any hope for anyone, that's it. We're not going to discuss anything else positive for this episode. But I was also surprised because I thought at the end, at the post-match ceremony, I thought that Jasprit Bumrah would be handed the trophy because remember, whether it's with the Ashes, the Border Gavaskar Trophy, whoever won the last series, if the next series is a draw, they get the trophy. But in the Pataudi Cup or Pataudi Trophy, whatever it's called, apparently it's whoever wins only in England. So England was given the trophy, or I think it was a shared trophy. But anyway, that was my one positive spin. Now, DJ, back to you for all the
No,
negativity.
let's stick
Or
stick with let's stick with the positives. To be honest, I mean England played good cricket.
yeah,
They drew the series 2-2. But I mean, let's be honest. If India drew a series against England 2-2 at home, we'd be
it would be
We'd
a
be mourning the
loss.
loss of
It
Indian
would be,
cricket. I mean, the
yeah.
last guy scored 303 not out against England, then got dropped two test matches later. So clearly, we have no perspective on how
Which,
important
by the
home
way,
test series are.
like, by the way, Quora, or how we pronounce it, right? That website, every now and then somebody asks, why is Karun Nair not playing? Every now and then somebody asks that question. It's just great. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if we had drawn 2-2 versus England at home, we would have been like hiding our faces.
Yeah, and
So
remember, we've got thrashed 4-0, 3-1, 4-1, and it's 2-2, and we are still mourning. The whole nation is gone into mourning. I want Rahul Dravid to be sacked. I want King Kohli to be dropped. I want everything to change because, okay, jokes apart, it was. Where does this rank, Varun, in amongst the Indian losses that we have sat through as Test cricket fans? And remember, we've sat through two of them earlier this bloody year. 2022 has been a rubbish year for Test cricket fans, as good as 2021 was for Indian Test cricket fans.
I think this one hurt more than the South Africa series because we were on top, not just at the start of the game, but till day three. And we'll get into this. But till day three, we were on top of this game. Michael Vaughan at the end of day three came out and said, I don't see anything but an Indian win. Now, maybe he was trying to be funny there. Maybe he was trying to reverse jinx, whatever it is. But that's what a lot of us thought, that there is no way we are going to lose this. And given the whole change in culture, there was no way we were also going to play for a draw, even though that would have made the series ours. But yeah, I don't know. I think this hurt more because we were on top of the game for majority of that game. 3 out of 4 and a third days, if that's the right way to look at it. So yeah.
So let's talk about that. Like, let's go right to the start. I think a lot of what is the disappointment and humiliation comes actually from the fact that England seemed to have planned this whole test match to pan out like this. They won the toss, and against all conventional wisdom, they're like, we'll bowl first because they've just had 3 record-breaking chases against New Zealand. Right? Above 350 has been chased like 17 times in the history of Test cricket. And England, above
And never,
275,
and
sorry.
never, and never against India.
Yeah, and above
300.
275 has been chased like 17 times in the history of Test cricket. England have done it 4 times in a row in the last month or so, right? It
Yeah.
is frankly ridiculous. But they win the toss. They decide to bowl first. Varun, first of all, I want to ask you about selection from the Indian
Yeah.
side, right? Do you think we got our selection right? We'll come to the bowlers and Shardul because we all actually picked Shardul. None of us picked Ashwin. But I mean, maybe that would have helped while defending
No, and
378.
and
But
we should talk about the selection that we spoke about earlier in the week as well. But
yeah,
yes, you're coming to the batting.
yeah, batting. We picked Cheteshwar Pujara, and I thought this might happen. Like, we'd pick Cheteshwar Pujara to open the batting. We'll play Hanuma Vihari at 3. And we played Shreyas Iyer at 5. None of us even discussed playing Iyer in the last episode, Varun.
Yeah, and you'd think that for somebody who spent 2 months discussing BazBall every day in the IPL, that he should have read the situation better. And I don't know if you saw this, but there was a great moment where, for everyone on YouTube, they can watch what I'm going to do. But McCullum kind of signaled to Stokes on the field, where he just went. He kind of signaled that.
Knock his bloody head off.
Yeah, pretty much. Except because he's from New Zealand, it must have been done in a nice way.
It wasn't done it wasn't done by Captain Russell to Yardley.
So he just kind of did that, gave the catch signal, and then like 2 balls later or something, Shreyas Iyer got out. So you're right. What happened in the last episode? We didn't discuss Iyer. Who did we say was going to play in that middle order?
Well, we said Mayank would open the batting because he opens the batting. Mayank would be opening the batting.
So yeah.
And Chepu would bat at 3, which is where he's batted for most of his career. And Hanuma Vihari would bat at 5.
Yeah, which is where he's batted most of his career. But clearly, India is looking at Vihari at 3 long term, which is also we need to discuss in the long term. Does it make sense? Because he's not done much at 3.
Well, he dropped a catch, so he contributed to the game. That was good.
We'll come to negative contributions as well.
I'm just seething. I'm literally just sitting here and seething. It's like you were given an ice cream, and then when you're walking, and the ice cream actually just falls on the ground. That's what it feels like. And there's no more ice cream left. The shop is shut. It's the worst.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know. Shreyas Iyer overseas in England, not the right pick, but yeah, there was not much choice. I think if the minute you decided to push Pujara up, I don't think there was any choice. So I'm less concerned with the batting. I'm more concerned with the bowling. And I think I'm not going to blame anyone in this because the 3 of us on this podcast also got it wrong. I think we looked at it from what worked in the 2-1 result and why should we change that, right? And you rightly pointed out Siraj versus Umesh. I think Siraj had taken a lot of wickets in the first 3 games. He didn't take in the 4th.
But you were like, Umesh will go at 12 if Siraj goes at 6.
Exactly. And that's what, and I agree. But in hindsight, now looking at it, Siraj did terribly, okay? But maybe the Siraj selection was still okay. The problem came with Shardul Thakur. And all of us said he should play. Firstly, that 5th day wicket or 4th day and a half wicket probably looked like Ashwin could have done better. Secondly, Shardul Thakur just looked like he was doing throwdowns to the batsman, right? I think, I don't know. I think there was a point where Ravi Shastri on commentary said it's like cannon fodder. He's just feeding the ball to the batsman without the ball doing anything. And Shardul Thakur had just had a horrible test match.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so much credit being given to McCullum, right? Like for all this turnaround and stuff. Of course, the players have come and delivered. Do you think? And we haven't talked about this at all. And like Rahul Dravid has just slipped under the radar, right? And he's a reluctant coach. Oh, he's a legend of Indian cricket. He's coached the under-19 team. He's coached India A. He's a good guy generally. He makes funny ads sometimes, Indranagar ka Gunda and all. I am genuinely beginning to think that he is not cut out for this job. And I'm not qualified to comment on this, but it is we've lost 3 test matches, Varun, under Rahul Dravid. 2 in South Africa, 1 in England. When you've had the opposition 109 for 3, Jadeja is bowling over the wicket into the rough. What sense is that? Makes no sense. You just like, what is this? I know you're a defensive batsman, but I mean, this is taking defensive coaching to the next level, and Bumrah is clueless. He's doing his first test match, right?
Yeah, so look, I thought about this too. Like, is Dravid that nurturer who sends guys up to the test team versus, is he great for the 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds who need the discipline versus coming in and coaching 30-year-olds who know what they're doing and then, trying to force a different opinion on them? I don't know. Like, what voice does Rahul
But
Dravid have in
maybe
the
he
dressing
doesn't
room?
force any opinion on anybody. Maybe he's just sitting
Yeah.
there, just
I mean, I
doing
feel like
shadow practice with the ball hanging from the roof.
yeah, I feel like he would definitely command respect because of his time as a player. But yeah, I'm not really sure what he says in that dressing room or what he's doing to motivate or charge these guys up. And they're used to a different setup. Now, maybe Rohit Sharma could have done that job, but now we didn't have Rohit as well. And so you come to the captaincy. So I agree with you. It's going to take a year more for us to see if Dravid can be written off completely.
I want to ask
You want
you,
to say something?
are we missing Shaz Ball?
Yeah, I think we are.
Why didn't we come up with Shaz Ball when Shastri was the coach?
Who came up with BazBall? Because it's really pissing us all off now. It's
It
been
really
overused.
is. And
It's
Shaz
just-
Ball has the genius of thodi der ke liye gote movement.
Yeah.
That's when Shaz Ball should have come up.
I don't know why we didn't think of it, but do you know who came up with this? It was somebody
It's probably Jared Kimber. Some cricket info guys come up with baseball, BazBall. And McCullum is just sitting there looking so smug. And I'm just like, dude, why can't you score
and he's
first inning
just-
runs? What is wrong with your team? Like, this is not a strategy. We'll give them a lead of 450 and let's see if we can get it. Pretty Stokes.
But yeah, at Stokes, so the problem I have is now that arrogance will kick in, right? Which is exactly what Stokes said. He basically said later after the game that I was kind of hoping to see hit 450 to see how we kind of play this. Like, I mean, come on, guys. Like that's okay. You won, so we can't
It's a
say
great
much.
line, though. You have to give it that. It's like the kind of thing Kohli would have said. But it's gone from like Dravid and Rohit or Dravid and Bumrah, and they've got McCullum and Stokes, which like you needed a Kohli and Shastri to balance that like aggression out. Anyway, we've ranted for the first, 10, 12 minutes of this show. We should probably get into some serious cricket chat. So let's Varun, why don't you give a summary of what happened in the game? Let's just like summarize the scorecard. Like we should talk a little bit about our boy Rishabh Pant getting 146 and a 50 in the second innings, despite throwing it away in both where he could have gone on and scored about 400 by himself. But anyway.
So yeah, so let's walk through it quickly. India came out to bat, and as expected, the top 3-4 did nothing, right? 17, 13, 20, 11. We were in a pretty poor position at 98 for 5 when Shreyas Iyer got out. And I thought, this is it, man. Like, this is it. Game over. First test overseas when we haven't practiced enough. This is what it is. And I give full credit to Pant and Jadeja for that fight back. I mean, I was watching it. I haven't seen that type of a fight back for a long time. Okay. So full credit to them. Pant played freely. Jadeja was more calm and sensible about his shots. Jadeja apparently kept talking to Pant and said, just do your shot selection. Put a price on your wicket. And so somehow that balance worked really well. Pant ended up with 146. Jadeja 104. And between the two of them, they pushed India to 416. Now, what pushed India to 415 was actually that Stuart brought over, which was ridiculous. Like the number of edges, no balls, buys in that over was just crazy.
Bumrah also nailed a couple of sixes. Like he nailed a six.
One Gordon Greenwich knee up.
It was superb.
But he got a full toss. Yeah.
That innings, of course, the rescue act was performed by Pant and Jadeja. And Jadeja actually batted admirably within himself. He recognized the moment, recognized Pant was going great guns, gave him support. all of that. But I want to talk to you about Shubman Gill, right? Is this a long-term opener? I've had my doubts about him against the moving ball from the very start. I don't think he is an opener. I think he's a number 5.
Yeah. So look, we believe he has the quality, right? He's got the technique. He's done well in the past. But yes, he is getting out the same way again and again. And I agree with you. If your number 5 is uncertain right now, why don't you give Shubman Gill a chance? Because you've already got Mayank, Rahul, and Rohit up top as your 3 openers, with potentially Shaw to come when the time is right. So Shubman Gill, I think you're right, DJ. I think he should make a play for the number 5 slot.
Yep. Okay. Cheteshwar Pujara looked okay. I want to talk about Kohli. He just needs. It's been one game, right? Like he's got out one game, but he just finds ways of getting himself out. He left the ball from Potts in that first innings, which got dragged on. He got a. And like there's times where things aren't going your way, right? Like Ben Stokes got dropped 3 times in the first innings. Jonny Bairstow got dropped twice on his way to 100 here. Pant had a few chances when he was playing, but when you're in that kind of form, Kohli just can't catch a break. Like he'll drag one off while leaving the ball. He got a ball from Stokes which took his glove, went to the keeper. Keeper dropped it and Joe Root stuck out his hand and caught it. I mean, he can't catch a break, that guy. What does he need? He's taken some time off.
And some of his shots,
they were great.
Were incredible.
They were epic. Like, the sound of the bat was epic, but
the on-drive, the straight drive, the cover drive. I haven't seen better shots.
Yeah, but there are 2 things I want to ask you. One, should he put away his ego and say, I'm going to come out and bat at 6. I'm just going to not play the new ball. I'm going to come out where the score is 150 for 4. And I'll just score 100 for fun from there. Which I have no doubt he will do. Because the ball gets old. These Duke's ball disintegrated in about 5 overs. Pant hit one shot, the ball was changed. Literally, that's what happened to it. It was ridiculous. But that's a different conversation. I don't want to get into ball, pitch. That's all excuses. That's rubbish. We should have won this test match. We should have won this test match with a day to spare. We should have won this test match on day 4. But anyway.
Yeah.
Should Kohli just drop himself down the order? Or should the selectors drop Kohli? Because he's not going to score runs at 4 the way he's batting right now. He's not going to score 100. And until he scores 100, people will keep saying he's failing.
Yeah. So, I mean, firstly, I think scoring 50s, 70s is also okay, right? I think we are too used to Kohli. I feel like DJ is almost like breaking his... Are you like breaking the handle of your chair? Are you that angry? No, he hasn't scored 100 in 3 years.
960 something days.
Bairstow has scored 400s in June.
Joe Root has scored 1100 since Kohli scored 100 since 2021. Yeah, 11.
That's ridiculous.
But I mean, Kane and Smith have scored one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay. But 11. Joe Root has got 11.
Yeah. Okay. Joe Root has got 11. That's great. Kohli, to sum it up, my view, I think he's still one of the best batsmen in the Indian team, in the Indian test setup, when you look at the top 4 or 5. So definitely place for him, right? No need to drop him. I didn't think about dropping him down the order. That's a very interesting idea. Maybe at 5. I have a feeling 6 is a bit late for Kohli. But yes, man, again, I'm saying, for anyone who hasn't seen the match or missed some of Kohli's shots, please go and watch them. When you watch them, you'll realize why as a country we are so frustrated that he's not scoring, because Joe Root hit 100, Bairstow hit 200s, Pant hit 100, and Jadeja hit 100. Yet the top 5 strokes in that match probably came from Virat Kohli. Okay, that's how much I kind of enjoyed watching his boundaries. But it's not working, and if he doesn't do something fast, his place is going to come under threat. So
his average is just dropped below 50. Rahane is out of the team. My question is this, right? If Kohli was the captain of this team, would Kohli carry Kohli? He was ruthless. He was ruthless.
He was
when he was captain. He would change teams every game.
He would change one person every game, but he's stuck with people like Pujara and Rahane for 3 years.
Purane.
So Purane. So it's it's he has to play. He has the shots, but I am very open to your suggestion of him dropping down to 5. I think it's not a bad idea with Shubman Gill coming at 4, Kohli 5, Pant 6.
Give him
I
a
think
bit more protection. Give him a little bit more protection against the moving ball. Just play a test match against Zimbabwe. Hopefully he'll score runs against them. We've got 2 tests coming up against Bangladesh. Bro, if he doesn't score in that Bangladesh test series,
I think it's hard. Like, it's tough.
It's going to be hard to genuinely listen. He needs to score, and he just needs to score big. His average has dropped below 50. It is he does not need to play 3 formats. Stop bothering with the T20 World Cup. Give it up. Let somebody else play.
Yeah, so he has to stop T20, man. Like, there is no place for him. Look at what Deepak Hooda and all are doing at number 3. There is just no place for him in T20 anymore. It is going to become a problem if he doesn't step away himself.
And the worst part is we are fans. We've obsessed about this guy on the show. We're like, every time I say, we actually tweeted out saying first in line to be chopped is Rahul Dravid, next up King Kohli. People are like, your Kohli fandom is blinding you. You didn't even go for Kohli first, you went for Dravid first. But it's true. We're huge fans of the guy, but I'm trying to find ways to get him back into form. Play an India A tour, do something, just run maro yaar, ho gaya. This game is about runs. It's not about sledging. It's not about posture. It's not that.
He was playing as a friend of mine messaged saying Kohli's playing as a specialist sledger. And then I replied to him
for
saying,
England.
You mean a specialist edger and sledger? Because that's all he seems to be doing on the pitch. He's only edging and sledging.
So you're basically saying this entire show is based on Kohli. He edges and then sledges.
Yeah, pretty much. That's all he does. All he's doing right now is edging and sledging. So, but on that note, I think that's a pretty good note to take a break.
I think so. Probably a good enough time to take a break. I should probably take a breath as well. It has been a day, guys, and I'm sorry that this has come around a little bit ranty, a little bit all over the place, but we will take a break and we'll be back straight after. Woo! Okay. Welcome back from that break, and you are still listening to this rant on the Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast about the final England versus India test match, one-off test match. I'm kind of glad it was only a one-off test match because by the sound of it, if India had played a full series this season, we would have been beaten 5-0 unless the rain intervened. Anyway, Varun, in terms of bowling, right? Firstly, we can't seem to bowl our overs quickly enough. We've been penalised World Test Championship points in this 5th Test match. So not only have you lost the Test match, you bowled the overs so slowly that you've been penalised points.
And apparently it's not the first time this has happened to us.
No. So
in this cycle,
Yeah, so and now we've dropped below Pakistan in the standings, which means our job to make the World Test Championship final is even harder. Good.
Yeah.
But what
especially with Australia winning, right, against Sri Lanka.
Yeah,
they're just getting stronger and stronger. So I think for all the India fans who want to see India at Lords next year, I think it's a very tough road ahead because we've played the most number of matches. We're number 4 today, and teams like England still have a home series. Teams like Australia still have a home series, so that's going to be tough.
No, we have a home series. We have 4 Test matches against Australia where we'll hopefully play well, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But yeah, so talk to me about the bowling. So, of course, we got 416, which is good. We then bowled England out for 284, which is a huge lead, right? Like, the bowlers have done well. Siraj picked up 4 wickets. You can call them junk wickets towards the end. I mean, but he went for over 6 runs and over. Talk to me about the bowling to Jonny Bairstow. Why didn't we have an answer to him once he came out of his shell after Kohli sledged him? I mean, it seemed fairly harmless, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened because I feel okay. This is not the Kohli fan in us talking, but I almost feel like Bairstow said something, and then Kohli got really riled up. Now maybe I'm wrong, but it felt like, yeah, that's what it felt like. Anyway, his strike rate, I think before that was 20 or 30, and his strike rate after the sledge was like over 100. I, if you ask me, I don't know how to bowl to Jonny Bairstow right now. I think I can't remember. DJ, your memory. Let's go for it. I'll ask you. Can you remember the last time a player has done so well in 4 consecutive matches?
Yeah,
Who?
Virat Kohli.
Okay, yeah, maybe. I can't.
593 test runs in 2018 in a losing cause. Also in Australia, 400s
Yeah,
in 4 games in
yeah. So that's
2014, 2015, right?
yeah. So that's it. So that's okay. Sure. So that's a great. And Australia also didn't have much of an answer for him, but everything
Yes,
else
even with Mitch
worked
Johnson,
against.
and we had
Yeah,
Bumrah, and like Bairstow just went nuts, and they
yeah.
had Bolt and we kind of said, okay, Bolt and Saudi are not as quick as Bumrah and
And
Shami, but like,
Kohli said that, right? Kohli said
yeah,
it like, how's it? It's faster than Saudi, right? He said that. And then Bairstow just took apart Shami and Bumrah. So quickly on the bowling, I think at 83 for 5, I remember messaging a lot of people saying, if the lead is under 150, I'm worried. Right? Because when you have them at 83 for 5, I was like, go for the kill. You need a 200-run lead. This is going to work out fantastic if you can get 200, 180. The minute that lead got cut to like, what was it, 130-ish?
132, yeah.
132, I said, this is going to be a different ball game. And
But 132 is a huge lead, man. We won the Oval Test match.
is,
Test match, batting third, same order, batting third. We conceding a lead of 99. We were 99 runs behind.
yeah. So you're saying 132 is huge, but we'll still lost, right? That's all that was in the back of my mind too. I said, if we get out at around 200 in the next, we're going to be in big trouble, right? Because 330 against the England team in form who is changing their approach, where Bairstow, Root, and Stokes have that ability to cross 300. I was always worried. Okay, the minute it was 130 lead, I got scared. The bowling as such, I think, give a lot of credit to Bumrah, but I think the guy who stood out for me was Shami, man. Like, he could have easily picked up 5-6
Unlucky.
wickets.
Yeah.
It was just very unlucky. Siraj picked up Shami's wickets almost, but did not bowl well. Went at almost 6 and over. And Thakur went at 27 and over. So I don't know what was going on. Apart from Bumrah and Shami, nobody kind of stood out. But hey, the job got done. We got the 130-run lead. As much as I've been saying, I wish it was 180. I was not complaining. I went to sleep very well that night saying we've got a 130-run lead.
Okay, but how much are we missing Bharat Arun? Because he was the bowling coach under whom we won all those test matches. We bowled England out twice at Lord's and at the Oval. And we won the Boxing Day test match as well. We won the test match at the Gabba as well. I mean, Gabba test match was probably an anomaly because we batted last. But he's no longer the coach of this team.
We are missing him, but tell me, why is he not the coach? Like, it's not a package deal, right? Ravi and him together. Like, Dravid should have insisted on somebody like Bharat Arun staying on.
Yeah, but how much has the BCCI's politics just disrupted the balance of Test cricket and Indian cricket generally? Because this time last year we were in a good place, right?
Let's hold that thought. Let's not bring the BCCI politics into this loss, because the loss was bad enough on its own.
Yeah, but it's a trend. We've lost in South Africa. We've drawn a test match at home. Boss, that didn't happen in the old regime. We didn't draw test matches at home. If we lost a test match, okay, fine. But that was on a square turn. We drew a test match against New Zealand at home. Anyway, so 284. We then come out to bat. Shubman Gill doesn't. He does like an action replay. You're like, dude.
Actually, I didn't know what I was watching, whether they were showing a replay or he actually got out. Because he got out in 3 balls, right?
Yeah.
So
Jimmy.
it's very fair to assume that they're talking about how he got out in the first inning. So I just was kind of watching it and chilling. And then I saw the score is 1 down. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. So Jimmy gets him, then Vihari comes out, goes absolutely nowhere, then drives at one outside off stump, gets caught. And then Kohli comes out. He got a good ball, and as we've already discussed his dismissal, it was pretty unlucky. I mean, he hit some
It was
nice shots.
firstly it was a terrible ball to
I mean,
get,
it was a good,
and
yeah. It
then
was an
it
unplayable kind of ball,
yeah, but
swinging in, seaming off the deck, bouncing from nowhere,
but but
glove.
it's but I don't think it was Ben Stokes. I think it was just the variable, but like it was not like Shrikant's delivery to Callis, right? Where
No,
you're like,
no.
wow, what a ball! This was like it suddenly last second just had a tennis ball bounce.
Yeah.
Kohli couldn't get away in time. The keeper also wasn't ready for it. It hit the keeper's glove, and Joe Root was just standing there, and the ball fell into his hand.
No, it was a
Okay,
good
and
reaction from Root actually.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. But I'm just saying, like it felt like he was just somebody threw the ball into his hand, and he was just like, oh wow.
But
Uh,
that's it, right? Like fortune favors the brave. When you're going to be tentative, where you're feeling for the ball, you're going to nick them and they're going to get taken in these weird and wonderful ways you're going to get out. Whereas Jonny Bairstow just keeps swinging at the ball. Like Ben Stokes keeps throwing his bat at the ball and it's okay. No one
yeah,
catches it. And I mean, we can come to the catching, but that's just cricket. And I mean, Kohli must hate cricket right now. He must just
yeah.
hate being a cricketer, being on the field, all of that stuff. Anyway, Kohli goes, we're 125 for 3 at the close of play, and we're ahead. We're ahead by quite a lot, right? At that stage, we're ahead by 250 odd runs.
Yeah.
Going into day 4, Varun, what did you think India was looking? There was no issue with time, there was no issue with weather. The weather had all passed. How many did we need to put on the board to to put pressure on the Baz boys? Let's call them
I
BazBall
mean,
boys.
okay, let's take this not in a hindsight view. Let's take it on the morning of
Yeah,
day four.
exactly. So
Yeah, I
125
would
for
have
3. You've got Pujara and you've got Panjara batting.
let's talk about it. Let's add the two scores together just so that it's easier. You said around 250, right, on the morning
259, I
of
think. Yeah.
yeah 259. I mean, you should have been first thinking between Pujara, Pant, and Shreyas. How do we get to 350, right? Even if one wicket drops or maximum two, let's get to 350 and have at least one of these guys batting with Jaddu. At 350, I would have said break it up into 50-run goals and milestones. And whatever happens, make it a priority to hit 401. There's a psychological advantage. Yeah, sure, there's BazBall and all going on. But I would have said 401 would have been my minimum on morning of day 4. And my maximum would have been 450. Right? That's the range I was looking at. And I would have been comfortable with that because two things. One, it would have meant India batted a little longer and gave England less time to bat on day 4. And the second is that on the morning of day 5, you could have had a situation where instead of England chasing 130, would have been chasing 300 or 280, right?
Yeah,
So that for
plus it
me,
would have taken time out of the game. I think that's what you're getting at, right? It would
that's
have taken
no,
more time.
that was my
Taken
first. That was
more
my first point.
yeah.
That was my first point. That it would have given England less time.
Mm.
And yeah, and that's it, right? To me, so my range was 401 to 450, and I just cannot believe we didn't get to 401. Like it has shocked me completely, and
Yeah.
we were just behind after that. And yes, sure, record show nobody's ever chased more than 300 successfully against India. It's been done 17 times in the history and stuff, but all of us knew it, man. We knew somewhere that this is a risk. It was, I'm not going to say it was a 90% England probability, but even if it was 55-45 in India's favor, that's not a good odds. That's not good odds.
Okay, well, all said and done. We lose 7 wickets for 92 runs. We set them 378 to win. They come out, they're playing their whatever, they're smashing everything. Lees
So one
and
thing,
Crawley.
if you remember in the last episode, I think you hosted and you had asked, what does India need to do? Or you asked something to that effect. And I think I thought I gave a very average answer the last time, which is make sure that you get the top 3 out quickly.
Okay.
And after the first innings, the reason I thought it was the average answer, because I was like, this is
That's
going to happen.
that.
I'm like, why have I stated the obvious? Like,
Yeah.
come on, I've been doing a podcast for 4 years. I should not be stating the obvious.
Yeah.
And then the second innings start, and Lees gets 56, Crawley gets 46. And I'm like, that's it. You've lost the match. They're going at over 4 runs and over. If the top two have hit 100 for zero, this is exactly what I said in the last episode, that you're done for now, right? And this was the Sehwag model where you have 350 to chase, you get them to 100 for zero with he and Gambhir gets to 85, 90 for zero. You're 1 or 2 down at the end of the day's play. You're chasing 200 with 90 overs on day 5. It's your game, man. It's your game. Unless you've got Warren or Murli bowling at you, this is your game.
Yeah, or Ashwin, maybe. I don't know. That could
Exactly.
be a
I mean,
possibility.
sure. Like I would not even place Ashwin in that league, but yes, okay.
Okay.
I get it. Yeah.
We didn't talk Ashwin.
Yeah.
How big was that a miss? Remember, they are 109 for 3, Varun. Okay, fine. They got off to a flying start, but they lose 3 wickets in 3 overs.
Yes.
So you've completely neutralized that. At that stage, what would you give to have Ravichandran Ashwin bowling at those two batters?
Oh man, it would have been priceless. It would have just been phenomenal to see Ashwin, Jadeja, and then when they get a break, Bumrah and Shami.
Yeah,
Like
hindsight is
that would have-
2020, but
yeah.
we insisted on bowling Shardul Thakur, didn't score runs with the bat, dropped catches, went for runs, and Ash has just gone there for a holiday or what? Along with Mayank.
I don't know.
It was, I don't know, it was just pretty tough. I think that was a really bad situation. Anyway, 109 for 3. Jonny Bairstow and Joe Root just go along the merry way. They cruise to 378. Credit where it's due. Brilliant innings, man. Like, and we dropped them. Fine, whatever. You get chances. You don't take chances. You pay for it. Brilliant batting. Like, completely fearless. Completely believe in themselves, right? And what I found was this team that was so timid last year. They were timid, right? Like they at Lords, you could see Bumrah screaming at them. Shami was up. Kohli was running everywhere. They didn't take a backward step.
Yeah.
England did not take a backward step. They had the momentum this summer, and it's that word again, momentum, right? And it carried them to 2-all in the series. I think a very disappointing result. Do you want to give any final words on the result? I just want to look back on the series before we wrap. But I just give us a final summary of what you think of that test match.
No, I think extremely disappointing. I think the way we bowled on the last day and just end of day 4 was just terrible. I mean, I think Harsha Bhogle or somebody said this, that for 200 runs, it didn't look like they were in a problem. Like the last 200 runs, from 178 to 378, it didn't look like we were going to even take a wicket. Okay, we dropped one catch, but
why? We didn't try and bowl short. We didn't try and bowl one side of the wicket. We didn't have funky field placing. Why? We used to do all of this stuff, right?
We did have some funky. We had 2 mid wickets. I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah, and they were bowling wide outside off stump. Like
so that's something that comes down to maybe inexperience as a captain. Bumrah. I don't know what was going on there. Then you had guys in a very straight drive position, and you were not really bowling there either. It just was too easy, man. The singles became too easy. So if your good balls are going for 1 and your bad balls are going for 4, that's it, right? It's game over. I think there was a point at which they were going at almost 5 runs and over. I think they did actually finish close to 5 runs and over, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just very disappointing. I think for me, the thing is, even in South Africa, even with this loss in England, we're coming close. Like you're almost about to become that team who can win overseas consistently, but you're just never hitting there. You're just always falling short. And that for me is tough, because now when you look at the last 5 years of Indian Test cricket, you've basically just won in Australia twice, right? That's, for Indian cricket fans, not a great thing to leave you with, but the team that was supposed to go and beat England, South Africa, and Australia has only managed to beat Australia.
And we've just discounted all the home wins because we don't care about those sides.
I mean, look, Ravi Shastri spoke about this on Sky. I don't know if you saw that, but he talked about his time as the coach, and he said everyone saw us as home bullies, right? Bullies at home. And what did we need to do? We needed to win overseas. So Kohli and him sat down and built out this plan. And to win overseas, you need to take 20 wickets. So what do we need to do 20 wickets? You need 4 pacers. And so he laid it out. It was actually very well articulated. But it comes down to that same point. We were always winning at home, right? Whether you're Azhar or Sachin or Dravid, Ganguly, even before that, I don't think anyone was losing at home. But you were so close to winning in South Africa and England, and you just didn't. The reason I'm feeling sad right now is because this kind of a era doesn't come very often, right? That intensity of a Kohli in the next 2 to 3 years, Kohli and Rohit are going to be gone. Um, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to be in a position where you demand a win overseas, and I feel like that period of Indian cricket is coming to a little bit of an end. So that's why I'm sad. But you can't fault the guys, man. They tried, and 2-all, okay, not a bad result.
And of course, there was a big miss with Rohit, right? Like, Rohit is a senior player. He would have had ideas. Although all of this would have been coming from Kohli on the field. It's not like he would have been sitting idle. He would have been getting messages from the dressing room and everything. So I'm sure that all of that would have been coming. But if you had one magic wand, Varun, what would you have liked to change about the series other than the scoreline?
Probably Ravichandran Ashwin playing a little bit more. Yeah, that's what I would say. I think we all say that we were 2-1, and I'm a culprit of this as well, right? I just think we were 2-1. Why change a winning formula? But what's to say that with Ravichandran Ashwin we wouldn't have been 2-1 anyway, right? So I think that was our miss.
Yeah, he's a class act, and hindsight is 2020, right? Like, now you look at it like, okay, it would have been a great win, but it was a fantastic series, man. Overall, let's go back. Nottingham, India in a good position to win, drawn. A famous win at Lords.
With the rain, right? We could have. And Bumrah made sure he called her in the post match.
But when you need the rain, it doesn't come, does it?
Yeah. Yep.
But a famous win at Lords, disappointment at Headingley in Leeds, a famous win at the Oval, and then a pretty dramatic end to the series as well, with these guys chasing 378. I wonder whether any team will ever declare on England again. I mean, they've pulled up some crazy chases. The Ben Stokes 135 at Headingley. They've now had 4 chases in a row. It seems like they only perform in the final analysis, and I guess at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? You need to only score 1 run more than the opposition without losing all your wickets. Again, I think we've probably been fairly negative. I've probably been fairly negative, thinking that if you're set that bigger score, you should win. But there are no guarantees in life. England are riding high on that wave of chasing down huge scores. BazBall is real. We need a little bit more of dose of Shazball and a little less of JamWall, I think. I'm just going to climb onto this bandwagon. If you can't beat it, I think join it. But for all our listeners, what I would suggest is why don't you cancel your Sky Sports or Star Sports subscription or whatever it is, and then subscribe to Star Movies and watch Lagan tonight, because I'm going to be watching Lagan, and it is going to be a guaranteed India win. And yeah, I know Varun is already got Lagan queued up as well on his.
Yeah, it's a great, after India-England loss, it's a great thing to watch.
Especially because Captain Russell looks exactly like Jimmy Anderson, man.
We mentioned this a few times in our podcast.
It's too close. But anyway, yeah. Last time we see King Kohli on English shores, Varun?
Possibly, man, because it's 4 years after the next, not 4 years. It should be 2025 in the next England tour by right. But hey, you're going to see us playing more of England and Australia for sure. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this is not the end. Yeah.
Okay, so I will be watching the 2 ODIs next week. So I'm looking forward to him maybe scoring some runs there. That would be pretty cool. I think he is playing that leg, but we'll see. But guys, that is the show, and we will catch you next week after the maybe previewing the ODIs. So commiserations to Indian fans, congratulations to English fans, and we are at One Tip One Hand on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Come and see us there. Take care, guys.